welcome you to this webinar series. This is the, officially this is the second webinar, but this is the first of the webinar series. And we will be focusing mostly on the supply chain management's MRO inventory optimization. The objective here is to conduct a series of webinars on each topic where the industry is facing challenges and provide the solutions, roadmaps, and approaches going forward. So what's the agenda? Let's look at the agenda. This particular series for inventory optimization is 3 parts webinar series. We will have 3 sessions. So what we are now doing is the introduction and briefing on PiLog's initiative, why we had to take this initiative to share all the knowledge and help each other or support each other during this crisis. And then we will go through the entire agenda of industry trends and challenges and value management roadmap, discovery process. There are 7 waves in our approach. So wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, we'll go through all of them, but not necessarily in this session. So probably we will cover today the industry trends, challenges, and value management roadmap and wave 1 of discovery process. And if time permits, we'll go into the wave 2 and wave 3. So the first part is today, what we are broadcasting. It's live, 2nd of September 2020. And the next part would be broadcasted on 9th of September, exactly the same time. And then 16th of September 2020. So within these 3 parts webinar series, we will cover all of this agenda from wave 1 until wave 7. And we kindly request that, though you have registered for all of them, kindly request that keep an eye on the emails with the notifications so that you can join promptly in time. And in each part or in each session, we will have 10 minutes for question and answers. So today with me, I'm myself, Imad Syed. I'm the CIO of PiLog Group and also the CEO of PiLog Zone 3, which is Middle East, Asia, as well as India. And then we have with us joining today, Mr. Vijay Kumar, who is a principal advisor of PiLog, and he is one of the industry expert. And we have with us also Mr. Ram Bhaskar. He is our Director of Value Engineering and Business Transformation Programs, and he is also an industry expert. So the question is that why PiLog has taken this initiative? Because we all know that industry is suffering badly, and this is the crisis for every industry, almost every industry. And some of the industries have disrupted themselves because they could not move on to the digital journey. So we thought that since we have been associated with industry for 20 plus years, PiLog has been associated for 24 years to be precise. And we thought that let us help industry, let us help our peers from other industry segments by conducting value engineering webinars. And those value engineering webinars would give them a solution, an approach, or a roadmap to address the problems during the crisis. Because if we do not stand together to support each other in this crisis, I don't think that there will be any other occasion where we can unite together. So together we are stronger. That's our PiLog slogan. And we always want our customers, our partners, and also our industry peers to stand together in this crisis so that we can all thrive during this crisis. And why value engineering perspective? The reason for the value engineering perspective is that a quote from Albert Einstein, according to this quote, if you really want to solve the problems, you need to think one level above from that particular level where the problem has created, or no problem can be solved. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. That is why we are bringing the value engineering principle. providing solutions, providing approaches, providing roadmaps is quite easy, but we need to spend more time in identifying the root cause of the problems. And majority of the time, if we can focus on identifying the root cause of the problem, then we will be able to provide the right solution and right approach going forward. And that is why we are bringing the value engineering perspective. So that's the background, and how you can engage with us, how can you ask questions, how can you participate in this webinar actively. We have our panelists who would be delighted, who would welcome all the queries from you. You can type in questions to the panelists from the chat box. In the chat box, you select panelists, and then you would be able to type in that question to the panelists and organizers. You can send that. We have Mr. Henny Killian, who is the COO from Middle East region, and Fuad Al Mavla, he's one of the CEO from the UAE. And then we have Reinhard Schiel, Johan Swartz, Johan Strydom, Eric van Kaspel, and we also have our PiLog Group's co-CEO, Mr. Peter Strydom, as a panelist. He comes with a lot of experience and expertise. And apart from that, we have people who can answer your queries, anything from the discovery phase into the approach or any questions. Mr. Umar Farooq, Samira Tahsin, and Mohammad Qureshi, all of them are as part of the panelists. So you can, chat with them. You can raise your queries. They will be happy to assist you. Next one is definitely we would like to know how you feel about this event, because we would like to have the feedback so that we can improve it. That is why very simple request is that a quick poll of 20 seconds, just 5 questions we will shoot out after the presentation, just before the Q&A. Kindly answer them, and it will not take more than 20 seconds. And then there is a survey, 2-minute survey, not difficult, just to identify what your requirements were, how did we deliver our content, what was it, would you like any help or assistance, because absolutely we would like to conduct these kind of value engineering webinars for free for our industry experts and our customers and also partners. So that's why we need that feedback. And then if you would like to write to us, you can send out an email to webinars@piloggroup.com. Our website is piloggroup.com. You can browse through that, and you can also reach out to us. And then there are a couple of flyers that are under the control panel. There is a section of handouts within the control panel. If you go there under the handouts, there are a couple of flyers that you can download them, which has got a lot of information in it. And then last but not the least, we believe that you will love this webinar. If you love this webinar and you are interested to watch it again at your convenience, or share it with your peers or colleagues, or show it to somebody, or you want to create a business case out of it, we are always happy to help you. You can write to us. We will share the link with you, because it is not publicly available. It is, once you write to us, we will share that information with you. Next one, takeaways. What exactly would be the takeaways from this webinar series? And it's a 3-part series. From this 3-part series, what exactly would be the takeaways? The first thing is that everybody is eager to understand what are the industry trends and what are the current challenges, where the industry is going, and what exactly are the opportunities in terms of the inventory optimization with regards to master data, metadata, and analytics around that. So that's what you would take away. You would have right insights. And by the way, all the research that we are bringing in, it's the research that has been published, that has been authentic. And then enabling earned value management, how you can actually take the entire value engineering concept and drive any of your problems into a solution management. And then structured roadmap with operational visibility, transparency, and continual measurement. This is what is required, because it's not once off that you implement a solution and then it survives or it sustains for a long time. So you always need certain changes, some strategic initiatives that you need to take. And then last but not the least, everybody want to go digital. And especially after this crisis, it is evident that only digital businesses are going to thrive. And this webinar series, Value Engineering webinar series, is aimed at helping our customers, partners, and also our industry peers to transform themselves digitally via the business transformation program. So those are the takeaways. Now, if we get into the first session, today's session, let's start with Industry 4.0. Everybody has spoken about 4.0, read about 4.0, but let's analyze it thoroughly. What exactly is the differentiation between the previous industry revolutions to the Industry 4.0 revolution? Now, if you look at it, the first revolution, industry revolution, it started somewhere in 1780s approximately, and it was purely a mechanization of it. So everything was mechanical, from the weaving looms or water and steam power kind of thing, but everything was mechanical at that point in time. And there was no mass productivity from the industry 1.0, and there was no concept of data at that point in time. So whoever are having the big machineries, they could produce more, and that was the mechanization era. And then came in 1870 the industry 2.0, wherein electrical energy actually converted this mechanical output tremendously by actually doing mass production. Though it was not an automated production, but they could get into mass production, and they could do 24 by 7 production with regards to industry 2.0. And there was assembly lines, and then at that point in time there was a concept that was introduced, that skill set. If you have this skill set, you would be able to do this job. Prior to industry 2.0, that wasn't the concept. So in industry 2.0, you could actually distribute, or you could classify the resources based upon the skills. So the resource categorization, resource classification came in the industry 2.0. Again, there was no concept of data there, though there was little data, but it was not the concept of the data. Then came in 1969 industry revolution 3.0, wherein electronics came in, and you could do the controlling of it. You could manage it from the control room. You could actually do the industrial automation with respect to the hardware integration. So that's where the PLCs were placed. That's where everything was interconnected, and that's where the automation actually grew. So and this was the era wherein majority of the industries have capitalized it. They transformed from industry 2.0 to industry 3.0, and they could make big business, and industry has really revolutionized during industry 3.0. Then came industry 4.0 around about a decade ago, wherein the concept is everything is autonomous systems. They must work based upon whatever is being connected to them. They must run without any intervention, no manual intervention. Orchestration came in, smart enterprises concept came in, and then the big data, IoT. Again, IoT is connected with data. Artificial intelligence, it's also again connected on the data and patterns. ML, machine learning, again data. And then the RPA, robotic process automation, again the data. So process is driven with the help of some decision making based again on the data, and again data and software integration. That's the processes, data and software integration, which was the entire orchestration. And that's where the data hubs are going to evolve. But this industry 4.0 was hit badly by this crisis, because not many could transform their businesses digitally. Still people are doing a lot of things manually, and those businesses have been hit badly. And we suggest that that is why this whole value engineering series, wherein we recommend all our industry peers as well as our industry friends and associates to transform their businesses digitally as soon as possible. Otherwise, the survival would be very, very difficult because in this situation, only thing is not just the survival but also thrive, where in cost reductions would come in, where in the efficiency and effectiveness would come in. Now, if you look at data about the entire data of it, let's look at the trends of the data. If you look from the Google trends, because Google is one of the search engines which is heavily used, which is very popular. So the stats are from Google. If you look at the term data, which has been searched in Google in the last 12 months worldwide, if you look at it, there's no comparison it with the systems or processes or technology or ERP. Many organizations, even today, are bothered about the ERP or the technology or the processes or the systems, whereas they least bother about data. And our whole intention is to sensitize the importance of the data, bring in vital examples and vital evidences so that enterprises can be built around data rather than just the technology, because technology wouldn't work if you do not have the right processes and the data, and systems would not work without the data. And that's the emphasis that we are going to have throughout our webinar series. And though you have an ERP system, but ERP cannot work without the data. And this trends clearly shows that data is leading way ahead of the other systems. So the people are looking at the data. People want the solutions around data so that they can control their business, so that they can digitally transform their business. Okay, so that's one evidence. Then if you go into the analytics, data and analytics trends, by the way, this is from the Gartner. So the source of this research is from the Gartners. If you look at the investments, the CIOs would foresee into the new digital transformation. If you look at it, it is growing. It is absolutely growing. Right side one is the percentage of respondents increasing investment. Left side is that they said that they will reduce the investment. Now, if you look at business intelligence and analytics solutions, 45% of the CIOs are the respondents. They see that they are going to invest heavily into business intelligence or analytics solution, and that's a clear evidence that data and analytics are going to be two pillars running hand in hand to transform our businesses digitally. And then cyber and information security, again 40% of the investment is coming in. And again, SaaS PaaS, which is the cloud solutions, 33% core system improvements and transformation. This really is an eye opener. You can see that 10% of respondents, they said that core system improvements is not their priority. They are not going to invest into the core system capabilities or improvements. And then digital business initiatives, including the digital marketing, 31% of it. And you can see even user experience, 29%, and 27% is the AI and the ML. But if you look at all of this, everything is to do with the data only. And if you want any of the businesses to thrive digitally, definitely these are the investments that are envisaged. Now, coming to the other prediction, what kind of work, what kind of functions, what kind of departments, what kind of roles would exist in the organizations through 2024, which means that in the next 4 years, 4 to 5 years, if you look at it, deliberate orchestration, data science, data literacy, information value management, data driven strategy, use case curation, data sourcing, information architecture, information governance. Those are the things that would be the roles or the functions going forward in the market. And you can see almost everything is around data. And then distributed practices, information asset management, data management, analytics, info stewardship, info product management. You can see that this is going to be the digital era. In the digital era, these are the key functions or the roles or the key departments that would be driving, data and analytics as their core capabilities. And these trends, the previous slide as well as this slide, very clearly explains that there is no way for any business to survive if they do not transform themselves digitally, which means invest heavily towards the data, invest into the right digital transformation programs, initiate your business transformation programs using data and analytics as two strong foundation pillars going forward. And that's the trends, and whatever we have shared here is the trends, and both of these come from the research, come from the Gartner, and Gartner is doing a lot of research in terms of it. And we really are heavily investing into the Gartner research as well. Then when we talk about data, what is the data that people or the organization must invest into? If you look at the entire anatomy of the data, we have the enterprise. Each enterprise has got different data types, but if you look at the data, master data is one of them, which is the business entities, which is absolutely the critical for any business. Without master data, no organization can move, because all the ERPs are 100% dependent on master data, such as be it product, material, service, customer, vendor, equipment, anything, and business partner, employees, everything, the data related to all these entities is master data. Without master data, no ERP can perform a transaction successfully. No ERP can perform the transaction perfectly. And then comes the metadata. And there's a lot of misconception about metadata. People consider metadata and master data as same. Metadata is the business definitions, which could be a glossary, which could be a taxonomy, classification, categorization, or an ontology, or a technical engineering dictionary, or a business glossary. All these are the metadata, and these are the business definitions. Without having a definition, you cannot have the answer. So it's the data dictionary. Without the metadata, you cannot have the master data. So, and both of them are actually foundations for the data. And what we see in the trends, or what we see the organization challenges, is that they are trying to build analytics, and analytics is somewhere here. Without having the right master and metadata, none can develop analytics. So analytics is purely dependent on the combination of master and metadata as a foundation, with transaction data enabling the analytics to tie up the entire master and metadata with each transaction, which is nothing but a business event. Any event, be it creating a PO, be it issuing a material, or be it onboarding a vendor or a customer, or onboarding an employee, all these transactions are embedded with the master and the metadata. And this transaction data is generated out of the master data as well as the business processes. And for that, we need to have the model of online transaction processing, for which ERPs are perfect, EAM solutions are perfect, CMMS are perfect. But if the ERPs and EAMs and CMMS doesn't have the master and metadata embedded within it, or related with that, or represented within it, then the transaction data wouldn't be meaningful. And what organizations today doing is that, if you ask, I have asked a couple of peers, they say that, what are you doing? No, we are building a dashboard. We are building now a CXO dashboard so that they can monitor it. But how would you build a dashboard? Have you gone through a transformation program, data transformation program? No, but we believe that our data is good. But who has validated it? Whether it was really validated or not. 9.9 out of 10 industries have data problems. We will see that also going forward. And then the analytical data is something that is generated out of the transaction data with the help of the master data and metadata tied into it. And then comes the unstructured data, which is actually, again, a big challenge for the organizations, because if they would like to transform themselves digitally, all the documents need to be digitized. All the information need to be available digitally to everybody, to all the stakeholders who are responsible to manage that. So this is actually an anatomy of it. I do not want to elaborate more on it. However, without understanding the different data types within the organization, within the enterprise, you cannot make the decision where the investment should be. Now, going forward, if you look at the supply chain inventory optimization challenges, key challenges is that if you look at it, low adoption to latest industry technology, which means that yes, many people are aware of what each inventory function is doing, but they are not aware of the impact it has done. They have not learned from the lessons that industry has learned. Maybe if I change the purchasing function and its process flow, what kind of impact it is going to have on the sourcing, or what kind of impact it is going to have on the inventory holding, what kind of impact it is going to have on the maintenance. All those interdependent functions and the impact of that, the risk of that is not understood, and the best practices are not adapted by the organizations because everybody feels that they are the experts. But we are saying that don't even believe us, but believe the technology trends, believe the research that is published, and that's what we have accumulated everything, combined it together and presenting it today. Next one is the high impact of inventory holding cost and balance sheet. If you open maybe 9 out of 10 organizations, if you open the balance sheet, you would see that working capital is hitting the balance sheets. Working capital is hitting the P&L because cash flows are getting hampered with this kind of working capital, which means from where it is coming, one of the contributions is from the inventory holding cost. And inventory is the biggest headache for many of the organizations, and these are the key challenges. Every CFO would like to reduce the working capital so that they can have some cash flow to expand their business. And that's where the pressure is coming up onto the procurement and inventory specialists, saying that optimize your stock. But how can you optimize the stock when you don't know what exactly is required? So that's where we will bring in our expertise and value engineering. And then the other one is, which is being seen, that okay, we have in the past, in previous organization, I have done this, so let's try that. So it's a trial and error model. And sometimes many trial and errors, so we don't know which one is working, which one is not, because some of those approaches are right, but if you are rolling out multiple approaches at the same time, then it's definitely going to have impact. So one function, if we are having a strategy for one function, strategic function, then it must be rolled out once, tested it thoroughly, measured it, then go for the next one, rather than rolling out all of them at once. If there is less risk, yes, you can roll out all the strategies at once. But if we want to know what works, what doesn't work, then it is better that we actually approach this in a phased manner, and that's what the industry is also recommending. And especially when it comes to ROI, if people pull out their calculators and say that okay, we invested so much, what is the ROI? But we don't know where you invested, which strategy it is, whether it is strategy 1 or 2 or 3. So it's not visible. So that's the reason we always recommend that it must be rolled out in a phased manner. And then obsessed with modeling, every organization says that let's build machine learning application, let's build a model, data science model to manage this problem, that problem. But have we really looked at what kind of data we have? If we do not have all the data elements into our enterprise, then you won't be able to build the modeling. For the sake of building artificial intelligence models or machine learning models is not going to help, because if you are building any machine learning programs or algorithms or any of those solutions, then you need to know what was the history, where exactly was the highest spend, uh, what is our maintenance philosophy, what is our procurement strategy, what about contract management. All those things need to be known. So before knowing all of those things, building a model or a data science model is also not right. And then everybody would like to optimize operational efficiency and effectiveness. Operational efficiency or effectiveness cannot be improved by just changing the structure, or by just changing the systems, or by just changing the role players. It has to be actually investigated, analyzed, examined, at a core level, at a foundation level, and two building blocks for the operational efficiency and effectiveness is that one is the process modeling, the other one is the data analytics. And if you don't do both of them, these challenges would not be addressed. So everybody wants operational efficiency and effectiveness, but nobody are actually willing to invest in that. So those were the challenges. Now, what exactly we are bringing to the table? We are really bringing a value engineering concept and value management concept. What exactly is that? Every function, be it a procurement function, inventory function, warehousing function, or a contracting function, or a business partner performance function, any function, we would like to analyze it with a systematic approach so that we can improve the value of that and also increase the value of all the interdependent functions as well. That's what is all about value engineering. When we talk about value engineering on the inventory optimization, it is not just on the inventory optimization, but also with all the associated functions of it. Why did we choose the inventory optimization as the theme? The reason for that is inventory is tangible. Somebody can feel it, somebody can touch it, somebody know what is the pain of that huge investment into inventory. That's why we are coming into a, the with the approach of inventory optimization. We could have also considered the maintenance of it, but maintenance is even at really a poor levels, because a lot of things are running on the hope that God is running these industries. So we said that let's look at the inventory because everybody would like to reduce the inventory, and our whole intention is that it must be a significant reduction in the cost or significant improvement in the efficiency or the effectiveness. So what we are going to do with this whole approach is that we will analyze each function and its interdependencies, either to improve the efficiency and effectiveness or reduce or optimize the cost. That's the whole objective of this value engineering. If you look at the value pyramid here, this is the value pyramid. And when we talk about value engineering, we are not saying that, okay, let's kill all the end users. They are the guys culprit who are creating the wrong data. No. Let's kill the process owners. They are the guys who have not developed or adhering to the processes. No, let's kill all the guys who have implemented governance. No, we are taking from top to bottom or bottom to top. Everybody needs to change the way that they have been working in this value pyramid model. Now, if you look at this, we have the results. Everybody wants results, absolutely fine. But what are the strategic performance metrics, business performance KPIs, business data and metrics? That's what actually goes down. And if you look at the stakeholders for the business data quality are the business data stewards, the guys who are the team or the professionals who are capturing the data, getting the data onboarded. Those are the guys are validating the data that is getting onboarded. Those are the guys who are actually creating the data entry, and that is something where we need to tighten the screws, because that's where the majority of the leaks are. However, the next one is at the processes. Certain processes are bypassed because there was no enforcement into the processes, or certain functional processes were not designed to capture everything that must happen end to end in the process or a sub process. That's also something. So process owners will have to look from the efficiency and effectiveness. If you look at our whole approach, we will be putting more effort into the bottom two things, which is the business data quality and efficiency and effectiveness. So on the processes as well as the data, if we focus on these two then segments, then we can easily improve rest of them. Operational executives, that's the strategic assessment, but we need to set up operational goals within next quarter. This is what is the reduction in inventory that we are planning to achieve ourselves into, and there are certain organizations who have achieved that. So that's a strategic assessment. And then the end of it, which is the entire return on investment from the strategic goals, That's the top and bottom line results. That's the executive management. So results cannot be realized if we do not follow through this process. So the early warning is where the data is entered, and then you can do some tactical efforts here. But if you combine these two segments, you would be able to achieve close to 90% of that. And based upon that, the operational goals and operational strategic assessments can be done. So this is actually the value engineering concept. So whenever we talk about a particular function, which is f of maybe purchasing function of procurement, function of sourcing, we are going to look at all the interdependencies on that and trying to increase the value or improve the value of that particular function with the help of either improving in the efficiency and effectiveness or by reducing the cost. And now, what is the recommended roadmap? Recommended roadmap is really a phased approach. It's not something which is a big bang approach. In a quarter, you would be able to implement everything because it's a strategy. Even in the value engineering as well, it's not something that we look at from a tactical perspective, because tactical is always 20 to 25%, which are the low hanging fruits, and then a strategic one. So if we look at the entire strategic roadmap, the first wave is initiate the discovery of as-is processes, data, systems, and technology. Without doing a discovery phase, we will not be able to arrive at any conclusions. Without doing a discovery phase, we will not know which processes are working, which of them are not. Without doing the discovery phase, we will not be able to identify the bottlenecks within the data, quality of it, and also the health of the data, the maturity of the data, the criticality of the data. So that's the wave 2. And in wave 3, it's an analysis of as-is process model. And from the process model, when we analyze it from a descriptive perspective. The way it was designed, is it really working or not? That's a descriptive. What exactly it is capturing during the process? Who are the stakeholders for that? And then the prescriptive, how it should work. One is how it was working, how it should work, and how it was intended to work, whether it is really working or not. That's a prescriptive. And then the explanatory of it, why it should work that way, or the rationale behind that. That's where the entire analysis of process modeling comes in. And then the next one is wave 4, which is design the strategic roadmap with impacts, risk, changes, and also the targeted KPIs. So if we do not have a strategic roadmap, we will not be able to achieve the long-term benefits, because one-time benefits is one, year-on-year benefits is the secondary thing. And when we design or develop the strategic roadmap, the focus would be to neutralize the major contributing forces, or whichever the forces that are contributing rapidly to grow the working capital. That would be the focus, because tactically we will control it, and then we will put down the strategic things. And the wave 5 is implement and measure all those low risk. The first one is develop, then here it is the implementation of the same thing, but low risk and high impact strategies. That's what we need to implement. And then wave 6 is measure the business performance and document the results of each parallel strategy. We'll roll out only the parallel strategies. We'll not roll out everything at once. Only the parallel strategies will be rolled out. And then, we will bring in parallel and combination of parallel and sequential strategies going forward. And then wave 7 is to make any enterprise, digital enterprise, wherein the orchestration, which means without any manual intervention, the processes and the data and the governance and exactly the measurement of the performance, all those things are automated. Orchestration is very important for us because everybody wants to automate it, but as part of automation, one of the things is the orchestration. And orchestration is vital for any business to survive, because it is not dependent on a person. It is dependent on the processes that are triggering the events based upon that. And it will take a little bit of time for the industries to transform into an orchestration mode. perform themselves into an autonomous model. But that's the strategy that should be adapted. Now, going into the discovery process, what exactly we would be looking into the discovery process? Now, the first thing is that, do we have the right quality? This is the question that we have to answer, ourselves when we sit with the right stakeholders. That do we have the right quality of master and metadata? Because if you do not have that, neither your transactions could be trusted, nor the analytics generated out of those transactions could be trusted. Which means what we are looking for? We are looking for whether the organization has taxonomies, dictionaries, glossaries, classifications, or any of the standards that it has adapted. Because standards bring in consistency, standards bring in interoperability, standards bring in accuracy, and also completeness to it, compliance to it. So that's what is the first question that we need to ask all the stakeholders. And then, do we have the spares critical, spares that are critical to us? Do we have them? And what is the ranking of it? Are they critically important, highly critical? Are they medium level critical, or low level critical, or non-critical at all? Are we investing so much into it? What is the economic order quantity for that? How can we derive it? All these questions need to be part of the discovery phase. And then, do we have the right linkage between equipment and its associated space? See, one of the things is that since there is no linkage between the space and where it is fitting in the equipment, where it is linked in the equipment, that's also one of the reasons for the higher inventories, or growth in the inventories. Because sometimes if you do not have the link, you might not know that this is the spare that is used in that equipment. So you might not actually perform any of the optimization on those spares. Or maybe the same spare might have been utilized into more than one equipment. And then do we have the qualified and the quantified inventory? Is our inventory qualified and quantified? When we talk about qualified and quantified, do we have the classification of the obsolete material, incorrect material? Have we really segregated them? And have we qualified that this is a surplus? How have we quantified that this is the shortage one? Or whether we have redundant spares stored in different places without knowing it, with different codes, or whatever it is, whatever the product code it is, do we have the redundant products? So that's also something that needs to be asked. And then the other question in terms of discovery phase is, do we have the historical transaction data to study the trends? Maybe somebody has already implemented master data solution, but do we have the historical data of last 3 years, 5 years? Because no need to go into 10 years or 8 years, 15 years. So beyond 5 years is something that is insignificant. So it's actually the good data is 3 to 5 years of data. Do you have it? Or have you archived such data somewhere in our business warehouse? If we have archived it, then that would help us analyze it, so that we can build some trends, patterns we can generate out of it to understand the demand, sourcing, spend, use of it, utilization of it. So that would help us build some descriptive analytics, that would help us analyze the process modeling, machine learning, kind of things. And then the next question in the discovery phase is, do we have the right technology, systems, and tools to manage? Though we know that this is not something that everybody would like to invest into, but we have seen in the last 4 to 5 years, majority of organizations have upgraded their ERP systems, have upgraded their technology platform. Because in the last 5 years, the digital business was rapidly growing, and many of them have done the investments into the right technology already. Some of them have done in cloud, some of them have done in on-premise, and some of them have done hybrid, whatever it is. But we need to study whether the data that is residing in one node, in one system, is replicated correctly or not, and all those things also, whether the processes are interconnected or not, that also need to be analyzed. That would help us build some of the RPAs, or understand what kind of orchestration architecture that would be required, and what kind of landscape that we can simplify. one of the other things is that many of the organizations that I'm aware of, they have their vast landscape. Maybe 30% of the systems within the landscape are not usable, are easily migratable to the new technology or new solutions. But since they were built with some investment earlier, people are carrying, or the organizations are continuously investing into it. So that's something that we will have to look at it, and we need to have a roadmap to simplify the complex landscapes. And then, do we have well established, result oriented, mature processes? Do we have that? And again, from the process perspective, process modeling is important. Without process modeling, we will not be able to achieve the efficiency and effectiveness. Even though you have the right data, processes are important, because those processes need to consume, and those processes need to utilize the data in order for them to trigger different events, business events. And then, do we have efficient and effective processes to manage process dependencies? Such as, if I am doing a transaction or a business event in planning, is it really giving any indication? Are there any triggers in any other dependent functions, be it in procurement, sourcing, maintenance? Maybe it is actually creating a trigger, but maybe that is not the right trigger. That is the reason we'll have to look at the efficiency and effectiveness of all the processes. And then quickly, the factors to consider for discovery process. The first one is very, very important, is that executive sponsorship is key to success. If we are asking only the process owners to take the responsibility of this whole discovery phase, well, they won't do it. So it has to come from the top. And executive mentorship is also required, because a lot of senior executives comes with a lot of insights, and that need to go down into the operational executives as well as the process owners. And stakeholder assessment with due engagement. It's many a times what happens is that a person who has been managing that particular function or a department for 20 years, we actually expect him to give all the data because he has that knowledge. So he will give you the data from his knowledge, but we need the data from the systems, and we need to assess each stakeholder, his capability, whether he can really work, he or she can really work in this digitally transformed world or not, in this digital era or not, and whether he will be able to bring in right value to this discovery process or not. So discovery process is very, very important. And then mutually agreed, RACI, matrix deployment and enablement. And then we need to embark on the holistic model, rather than just looking at only the tactical stuff. We must look at the strategic transformation, long-term journey. That is what we need to look at. And then whenever we gather the information, it must be directly from the source, and that information must be accessible to the entire team or the global teams, so that they can validate and ensure that that's the right data that is captured. Many a times we have realized in our analysis that only at the end of the analysis, one stakeholder says that, sorry, this is not the right data. So all the effort that is being invested into is lost. And then last but not the least, we need to define and adapt all the KRAs, KPIs, and also mitigate all the risk. What are the plan? What is the plan A, B, and C, and what is the governance and the compliances that needs to bring it into this entire discovery process, and going forward as well. That needs to be also clearly defined. So this is the first session, first part. You are now open to ask questions. The people who have joined late, I'm just capturing the previous one. This is the first part of this webinar series. Second part would be broadcasted on 9th, and then the third would be on the 16th of September. What we will learn through in the next two parts would be the data analytics, process analytics, how to develop and implement the strategic initiatives and performance metrics, and then the entire roadmap for the automation and orchestration. This is what we will look at it. So there is a quick poll. If we can launch that poll. while people are polling, if there are any questions, you are welcome to ask any questions. So we'll give 20 seconds to answer this poll. It's popped up on your screen. Okay. The next one. You're welcome to ask questions. We have another 6 minutes. I encourage everybody to ask questions. Our panelists are eagerly waiting to answer. Panelists, you have any questions that you would like to clarify? And then the next one. Any Fuad? Any questions? And then the last poll question.
Imad, I just see there is a question, but it is in a panelist side. Let us just take that out and put it into the questions itself.
Fuad, Umar, Samira, quickly. If there are any questions, let's answer. Let's read them out and answer them.
What is the overall expected savings we can optimize by adopting the best inventory optimization methodology or approach?
See, though it depends on various factors, but from our experience is that about 8% of savings you can do it in the first year, and going forward between 5 to 6% year on year, as long as you implement those strategies.
Okay. I have another question here. Can you guide us or help us in drafting the business case for us? So this question has been asked by me. Please guide. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. We can guide or we can actually help whoever needs any help to build a business case. We'll be able to do that. They can write to us, they can contact us.
Imad, lots of people I think now are asking themselves, what are the prerequisites to perform a proper inventory optimization? Could you please just elaborate about that? Do we have to clean the data before we run any inventory optimization exercise, or how it should work?
See, everything starts from a discovery phase. If we do not start with the discovery process, we'll not be able to know what are the underlying problems. So it's not expensive exercise as well, because any organization can embark on this journey by opting for a discovery phase. And once we have the discovery phase of it, we would know what kind of strategies we can actually build. And investment into discovery phase is very little compared to what kind of ROIs we'll get out of it. So I encourage that if anybody would like to start with discovery phase, they can contact us. We can guide them how you can formulate a business case for the discovery.
Okay, so taking into consideration that everyone now maybe 50% working from home, and you just talk about discovery phase, can this something be done offsite? If yes, what are the main documents or main needed to be in order to have a proper discovery phase or analysis, and how long it will take normally? Is it 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Can you please help us here?
It all depends upon what kind of problem that we are solving, or what kind of challenge that you are facing. However, it takes from 6 to 10 weeks to complete the entire discovery phase and also look at the analysis of it. So and by the way, what we require is we require the data from the systems, and we require the information from the processes. And once we have that, everything can be done remotely. And that's why I say that digitally transformed enterprises are actually surviving in this crisis. So discovery phase can be done remotely. We don't need anything except a couple of workshops. Those can also be virtually conducted. Mr. Vijay, do you have any experience or anything that you would like to share? Because you have 40 years plus experience in the industry.
Yeah,
how did you handle the inventory optimization challenge?
Sure. Let me give my practical inputs on use of the master data and the inventory optimization which can follow because of the master data. The requirement of data, and that too the quality master data, is so critical in inventory optimization, because generally what happens is anytime the inventory is to be optimized, people go in and everyone, including the auditor, including the management, including the consultant, he asks, okay, give me the report. Let me see what is the analysis of what is the structure of your inventory, how much, give me the group of material, group-wise inventory, and also give me which are the critical items, which are the consumable items, which are the raw materials. Are they linked to the production schedules? Are they linked to the maintenance schedules? 90% of the organizations I found do not have a proper integration and link between the equipment, their criticality or their reliability analysis, the proper material grouping or the type of material, and the required parameters to be input to the SAP so that we can control them at the group level or the type level. Thereby, whatever report comes out, the report does not provide the actual ground picture of the inventory status, and neither does it convey the requirement of the maintenance or the production teams with reference to the maintenance requirements, spare parts, or the production required consumables. That is where the importance of the master data, especially the characteristics and the classification and the proper analysis on the criticality and the parameters of the material are stored correctly. Once a proper classification and the structure is available, you can easily classify and take out reports, which helps in what we call selective and scientific inventory control. Inventory control is a term which everyone uses, but using it selectively to the targeted materials, which are either by value or by consumption, that is basically the selective inventory control. And to select the exact material on which, or the list of materials on which we have to do this inventory control, we need a good database of materials to select the appropriate material and apply those inventory optimization control parameters or the required inventory modeling, and thereby get the benefit of inventory optimization and also improve the efficiency of the maintenance and the production team. That's my understanding, and that is my experience. In that, the requirement of the data is of probably 90% depends upon the quality of data. The rest of it is a science which is already available, but where we fail is the quality of data. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Vijay sir. Mr. Ram, what are the challenges that you have faced in terms of gathering the data for discovery phase? I mean, in the recent past, because you also come with 25 years of experience in the industry.
Thanks, Imad. Thanks for raising that. And also, I welcome the entire forum, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining the session. So to address the query of what are the challenges we face in terms of data is basically once the ERPs are implemented, right? And they say that the processes are done and dusted, and we can run the solutions the way we want. The problem is once they don't follow the procedure standards, the data amalgamation for doing this kind of analysis for a greenfield plant is always a problem. Okay, let it be from maintenance, let it be from inventory. People don't book it correctly. The MRP parameters are not correctly defined, as Mr. Vijay was also talking about. They don't try to embark on the processes which have been deployed as per the industry standards. And then 2 years or 5 years down the line, when we start looking at the data is not adequate or it is not structured. So that causes the problem for them for effective decision making. And this journey of having the data master and metadata controls on the process elements are very important, and it has to be judiciously controlled and maintained and audited on a regular interval by organizations, and that's what we have been advocating for ensuring that we have a seamless journey for any transformation. Let it be digital, let it be business transformation. That's my 2 cents. So in nutshell, the data has been bad, and that has to be really looked upon very seriously by the organizations.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? There were a few questions that we, one of them, let me read out. Is Industry 4.0 and AI mandatory for this? No, not at all, but those are the future roadmaps. Apart from that, you don't require, what we require is the data directly out of the source system and the processes that are implemented into the systems to analyze it. And that's the response. And then the other one was, if you have a system, still you require the metadata. Yes, metadata is actually the definition of each data element. So that's why metadata is important. Yes, though it is ignored many times, but metadata actually qualifies every master data entry. So that was the another answer. Okay, so if there are no more questions, thank you very much.